Welcome back to Theology in Action. This is our new series entitled Growing in Grace, and we're going to look at the spiritual discipline of meditation. And meditation, much like counterfeit money, coins, dollar bills, meditation has its counterfeits. They come off in appearance as though they are right forms of meditation, but in essence and in substance, they are quite a bit different. They promise connecting you to the divine, they promise spiritual insight, they promise temporal healing, and to some extent these forms of meditation relieve you of stress, anxiety, but they ultimately don't make a present and eternal difference like biblical meditation. And so we're going to go through and really look at what biblical meditation looks like. And to quickly define it, biblical meditation is conversing within oneself about God's Word and God Himself, or God Himself and His Word. Just thinking and musing upon that. In fact, the Hebrew word hagah deals with to utter, to muse, to speak, to talk, and in context of the Old Testament, within your heart about God, His being, and His Word, what He does or what He says. And so we're going to look at this from two particular passages and learn about biblical meditation. So Psalm 63:6 is a psalm of David, and David's in the wilderness of Judah, and it says that his soul, he hungers and thirsts for the Lord. And so it's kind of a neat contrast there. You'd think he'd be crying out for food or water, but he's crying out and hungering in the wilderness for the Lord, and placing emphasis on how ultimately we're in need of God's presence and a relationship with Him to have sustenance in all things pertaining to life. And so David's crying out, but in this Psalm 6, in verse 6, it talks about how David muses or meditates on his bed all night about the Lord, or concerning the Lord Himself. And so this is really a meditation, a musing, a thinking in one's heart and mind about God Himself, His being, His presence, His nature. In Psalm 1, verses 1 and 2, talks about the blessed one, what they do and what they do not do. And what they do not do is walk in the way of sinners or sit in the seat of scoffers. They don't go that direction, but rather what they do is they meditate, they muse, they think about, they mutter to themselves about the law of God, that their delight is in the law of the Lord, and they muse and mutter these things to themselves, things about God's law, which is His Word. And so we see the biblical form of meditation is that we think about God Himself, and we think about His Word, what He says. So who He is and what He says is what we meditate on. And this is the heart of biblical meditation. That is, we converse within ourselves throughout the day and night, as both these Psalms picture, about God and really commune with Him. So that's the substance of biblical meditation. So in contrast from biblical meditation, what true meditation or biblical meditation is not, is an emptying of one's heart and mind of content, as is in many forms of Eastern meditations. They empty their mind, they seek to release their mind of thoughts. And so it's not an emptying of one's heart and mind to escape reality, but rather it's a communion with God that transforms one's heart and mind to change reality, to transform who we are, not escaping who we are, but transforming who we are by meditating on God's being and His truth. And so there's a big difference there. And in the Western society where we're at here in the United States, we've been deeply affected by this positivism of thought, that if you just think good thoughts and think on one good thought, things will just be well. That's a form of meditation that springs from Eastern religions. What biblical meditation is quite a bit different. It's where you think about God's being and His Word, and then that truth actually affects your heart and mind and gives you resolve, gives you answers, and it helps you grow. And so again, the contrast is simple. It's one form, the counterfeit form, has you settle your mind on one thing and eventually lead to nothing, and just escape reality, and never really giving your heart the truths that it needs to overcome the stresses and life's difficulties. But on the flip side, the true, the real form of meditation gives you the truth that your heart needs to transform it, that you might glorify God and enjoy your life to its fullest. So that's the difference, is one meditates on something, a person, a personal God and His truth, and the other seeks to meditate on fictitious worlds and or nothing. So if we desire sound hearts and minds, we have to discipline into our lives meditation, to muse over God's being and His Word, over His person, over who He is and what He says. These ought to be on our hearts. These ought to be what we're contemplating, like David in the blessed one of Psalm 1, that we would meditate on God's law, on His being, day and night, that this would be something that would continually confront us as we walk through each day. And this type of meditation ultimately, again, gives us the truth that our hearts need to resolve and to enter into rest as we walk in this life. And so this meditation has great impact in everything that we do. And it's a discipline because we are fallen. We've fallen in Adam in Genesis 3, that we've taken on the sin nature, and now Christ is redeeming us. And so it's something we have to overcome. We tend to stare at the objects of this world and worship and meditate on things that are really not God Himself nor His Word. And again, that's much like the Eastern religions of sorts, but what we need to do is to discipline our hearts, not to think about ourselves or go inward to ourselves, but to go outward to God and to His Word and what He says and to His truth, and allow that to change us and conform our lives to His design, which is where our souls are most blessed. As Psalms 1 says, it's the blessed person that meditates on God's law. And so be encouraged that we have God, a relationship with Him through Jesus Christ, and we could meditate and enjoy Him, and we have His Word, His truth, that we can soak in that and be conformed to the image of His Son. So we hope that you enjoyed this first segment on growing in grace, about really growing in our relationship with Jesus, and this one particularly on meditation and what biblical meditation is and what it is not, and the importance of musing on God and His Word. So again, hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to have more to come on this series, different spiritual disciplines that you can make a part of your life, that you would richly grow with Jesus each and every day. And if you would, share this with your friends, with family, give feedback, likes, comments, anything that might promote this to others who are in need of it, as well as make the series better. We're always open to more insights on new topics and things that are in the scriptures that we might talk about and share with you. Again, hope you really enjoyed this. I look forward to seeing you guys at the next episode, segment 2. Blessings until then.